Hello, Shamari. This is some overdue feedback for you. Hopefully, you'll have an hour or two, perhaps, to make some of the suggestions. You really did accomplish a lot. You have, I think, the ingredients for an effective website. Just need to perhaps practice positioning things. But I'm glad you got this in, and I look forward to seeing your final. Uh, Shamari, I see that you're using Bootstrap, and I'm ashamed to say that I probably don't know as much about it as I should, because Bootstrap is used in the 410 class. Um, but okay, I'll get to that later. Here's what I go to. I don't know if this is the most recent. Be careful about word spaces in your uh, file names, and that was from week, I think, 2, where you really should avoid word spaces. And keep to the lowercase convention. I see some promising things here. I see a 2-page web presence. I see that you've been able to import a logo. It's not transparent. Take a look at SVG file format. That's a transparent vector-based file format that will allow you to position transparent elements like the logo, on top of a solid color or a background image. I see that you've been able to import ample imagery, and it's just really a question of formatting your navigation into perhaps a bar that runs across the top, as well as positioning your ingredients, your images, and your text more precisely. Now, when I open this up, or when I view the code, I'm a little intrigued. I see that you've been able to create a GeoCities account or web server space, and this has always been interesting to me. What is Baghead Products? Well, I went and looked at let's see, I went and looked at the initial page for your website, and I think I saw some videos that you had uploaded. So you're getting the idea about how to place videos and images on your pages. Know that you have the same ability to position these more correct or more precisely, not only on your web page, but also videos as well as static images can be treated the same way. Here I see that you, I know this is not this class, but I see that you're considering organizing your files. Great job. You just need to apply navigation to this too. So the first, on the rubric, the first question or criteria is, have you illustrated a sitemap that conveys the overall complexity and depth of your website? I went back to week 4, and well, you have, yes and no. I see that in the code for this, you have the beginnings of a unordered list. You've got the 2 links, and it just needs to be formatted. I also see that you have an external style sheet, and I wasn't sure, but see, it refers to your desktop, so that needs to be uploaded to your GeoCities account too for it to take into effect. And I also see that you have created it using Bootstrap. So this may be confusing you. It would be better to draft an external CSS that had developed out of your embedded style sheet, or even earlier in the term, your inline styling. So I think there's a little question about that, although you've got one, it's not quite working out. Overall design, I think it needs improvement. I don't think I need to belabor that point. You have been able to import a variety of image file formats. Again, just consider using a transparent vector-based file format for the logo. And you have been able to import, if not position perhaps, abundant images. So that's good. Your wireframe sketches, you didn't submit anything for week 4. So that may be part of your problem, or perhaps I'm missing something. And maybe your problem is that you don't, oh, wait a minute, no, I take that back. Forgive me. All right, so here are your wireframes, and they give you a very clear idea of, or give me a very clear idea of how you want to position things. I think I may have said that this was ambitious, to have a lot of little photos. I would avoid these awkward negative spaces between photos, perhaps make things line up. But I know that these were sketches. They are appropriately skeletal. One last little thing is you might want to match the typography of your company. And so, for example, Pasta Mori, use Gaudi Old Style in all of the collateral related to your website. You would probably present wireframes to a client. You'd have to explain to them what they are. But it would be nice if it was a consistent package where not only the typefaces were reflected in all the supporting documents as well as the website itself. Hope that makes sense. Your typographic hierarchy is pretty much, what does the viewer see first, second, last. It's a catch-all category here. I consider how you have implemented the corporate typefaces, what the size relationship between your heads and your text is. Is it pleasing? Does your navigation overwhelm your site? And I think you're beginning to address each of these, but they need a little bit of work. I'm looking at your code again. I think your big problem is having things on your desktop that aren't reflected on your server. So just know that your file structure on the server has to match what you're working on your desktop. Don't be confused if you look at your text or your code in live time using a browser. This is host code. This is something that GeoCities places on your page by default, and so don't be distracted by it. It is what we call host code. I don't see that you have annotated your code. Those are called meta comments. Oh, here we do. I'd like to see more of these, near the footer and up near the head as well, to at least mark where your body and your head area are. But good going. Continue to use commenting like that. Now, your naming conventions, I had said that, please avoid using word spaces. They show up like that in your names, so needs a little bit of improvement there. It will also cut down on the confusion. If you're consistent about using your name or naming your files, using lowercase all the time, avoiding word spaces, it really will go smoother. Shamari, I think for your CSS to work, you're going to have to install it on your web server. And it's going to have to be in the same place. In other words, you're going to have to create a directory called JS and put any scripts or in it. And it has to be the same on your server as it is on your desktop. Same thing is true with your CSS. And so I see that you've got this Bootstrap CSS, but it needs to be in a folder or a directory called CSS also on the server. And so that's why when I click on it, I can't see it, is because it's wanting to take me to your desktop, and of course I don't have access to that. So I hope that makes sense. You're going to need your file structure is going to need to reflect what's on your desktop as well as on the server. Shamari, so I have addressed each of the rubric criteria with written feedback. I think I've covered most of it here too. I think I'll let go at this to give you some time maybe to absorb some of the feedback. But don't hesitate to contact me in the next couple hours if I can do anything to help you.